Hi, my name is Elora. In this presentation, I and my group members will be discussing different leadership framework and concepts. We would also be sharing our different leadership styles and also show how strategic management tools can apply in real life situation. Our aim for this presentation is not just to demonstrate theories or concepts, but to show leadership truly creates results. Building on this perspective, I would now focus on the leader-follower situation framework. But first, let me define leadership. Hughes et al. Has stated that leadership is not a position but a process. I would also love to define leadership as guiding of people and organization through challenges and opportunities. The LFS framework is the foundation used at Hughes et al. 2022. It highlights not just the leader's traits or personalities, but the dynamic interaction of the three factors, which is the leader, the follower, and the situation. This allows leaders to constantly balance who they are, who they are leading, and the demands of their environment. What makes this model powerful is that it rejects the idea of single best leadership style and emphasizes adaptability. For example, a directive approach might work with new, inexperienced followers, but would be very counterproductive with highly skilled independent employees. Leaders' personal qualities include emotional stability, communication, and values. This explains that leaders must know their strengths and limits. As shown in the figure on my slide, the followers bring motivation, skills, and expectation that directly influence leadership success. Thirdly, the situation. The situation represents external pressures, or put in a layman's word, everything that surrounds the leaders and the followers. This can be urgent deadlines, strict compliance rules, or even cultural dynamics. This situation often determines the leadership's approach, uh, whether it will be effective or not. When the leader's approach fits both the followers' needs and the situation demands, leadership is said to be effective. When they don't, problems like disengagement or low performance is likely to occur. Now, let's take a quick look at my assessment results. My leadership assessment score was 87 out of 100. This shows strong leadership potentials. The result identified several clear strengths: that I remain calm and steady under pressure. I also communicate openly and adaptively. I work best in teams where collaboration are valued, and I set boundaries to protect myself against burnout. This assessment also highlighted areas for improvement. My work quality was lower, which means I need to be detail oriented to avoid mistakes. My productivity and self management scores were solid, but not perfect, suggesting that I can sharpen my time prioritization and I can also maintain tighter consistency in execution. This assessment balance makes me self aware. Let me quickly share a personal experience as a leader where I had to adapt to my team's needs and external pressures in order to keep everyone motivated and aligned. I recall working in a real pharmaceutical marketing environment where our team faced intense pressure to meet aggressive quarterly targets. At the same time, our competitors were discounting products, and compliance rules tightly restricted what could have been said to physicians to promote our products. As a leader, I relied on my personal stability and communication. I stayed calm under stress and I kept communication transparent with my teammates and reassured them by focusing on what we could control at that time. This helped to prevent panic and kept us solution focused. For followers, I adjusted my approach. The senior reps I had noticed wanted more autonomy and recognition, so I gave them ownership of their strategy decisions and celebrated their wins. For the newer reps, I also noticed that they needed structure, so I provided coaching section and detailed call plans, consistent feedback to build their confidence. The situation required cross-team collaboration. Since the compliance limited our promotional language, I worked with medical and market access colleagues to give reps approved scripts and materials. This ensured we stayed ethical but still competitive. Now, let's quickly take a look at the strategic management tools I explored and I would have still explored if such situation was to repeat itself. To effectively manage my teams, I defined winning and progress for my team goals by setting smart KPIs to measure performance, such as weekly targets and benchmark for compliance accuracy, which I published on the team scorecard. I also utilized the after event review AERs to give my team a rhythm of reflection where we openly discuss our wins, our misses, and adjustments. According to Hughes, this is very beneficial for leadership. With recent deeper insights I had gained from Hughes, I would have also explored the AOR model to observe the consequences of my actions, reflect on its meaning so as to learn from my experience and become a better leader. Finally, the gaps analysis, aside being beneficial for my growth, would have also been explored by me to manage my team and other individual rep skills gap and create a tailored coaching plan. I am confident by combining LFS, my leadership skill, and exploring these tools, I will lead my team better through a high pressure period, delivering results while keeping the team ethical, engaged, and motivated. Zainab will now speak on transactional leadership.
Thank you, Elora. In 4 minutes, I will show you how my transactional leadership works, how it connects to transformal leadership and LMX, also what my leadership assessment says about my strengths and my growth area. And I'll also be telling you the concrete plan using the SWOT analysis and the balance scoreboard. According to August et al. 2022, transactional leadership clarifies expected performance, it monitors progress, and it also reward results. It also intervenes when things go wrong or when things goes off track. It's more structured than exchange. It gives less emotion when transformer leadership than transformer leadership. According to Ma and GM 2018, this study shows transactional leadership style can support creativity when expectation and exchange are clear. Also, according to Erdogan and Boal 2015, transactional leadership also connects with LMX, which is the high quality leaders members exchange where fair give and take boost performance. In practice, many effective leaders blend transactional um, clarity with transformer vision. So now talking about my personal leadership style identification, my leadership style strongly aligns with the transactional leadership. Back in my home country where I work as a farm manager, I set clear quarterly profit targets. I reward high performance with recognition. I give promotions. I give and like approximately 10% raise and reassign tasks to match my team members' strengths, which according to Broading and Diskin 2018, this delivers improved engagement and results. And this also brings so much profit to the farm. Also, my leadership assessment backed this up, where I had overall 92 over 100 with teamwork of 15, and my growth areas are the productivity where I had 12, and my boundary settings I had 9. Also, I'm pairing transactional clarity with habits that lift throughput and protect well-being. So going to the application of strategic management tools, I will operationalize this and combine these two tools which are the SWOT analysis and the balance scoreboard. All the tool can turn my strategy into habits. From the SWOT analysis, our farm strengths are the high yield, we have skilled workforce, we have product varieties, and all this will let me stretch my productivity targets and improve my leadership assessments, leadership skills. For our weaknesses, we have inadequate storage, we have costly and expensive equipment, we have manual labor dependence, which can become all this can become my boundary trigger when I intervene. Our opportunity are mainly the organic demand. We have agrotourism, we have agrotech, we have all these tied to contingent reward for quality and fulfilled orders. We also have our farm threats, which are mainly the pest and disease. We have price swings. We have competitors. We have a lot of competitors, which according to August 2022, all this can activate management by exception when results slip. Going to the balance scoreboard, on the financial side, we have 15% cost reduction, and we have daily cash check, which set hard cost boundaries and also lifts my productivity. Going to the customer perspective, we can increase quality, product quality, we can track orders, so meeting spec is rewarded. All this, according to August 2022, this misses triggers corrective actions. Going to the internal processes, this minimize waste. It measures crops and livestock outputs, and it will also impact my core productivity KPIs. That way, my leadership skills will be improved. Going to the learning and growth, we implement new techniques and employee training, which according to CARS 2024, this is where my boundary certainly will be taught and reinforced as SOPs. Brief feedback check-ins help align my expectations with others. Together, the SWOT analysis pick what to control, and the balance scoreboard makes it measurable, which also help improve my productivity and make boundary explicit and reinforceable. So blending the transactional leadership, the transactional clarity, which are the clear target, the contingent reward, with my motivated feedback, it turns my gap on my leadership assessment into transparent and repeatable practice. Now I'll be handing over to Pam, where she'll be talking about communication as core to leadership. Thank you.
Hello, I choose communication as my focus because it emerged as my strongest leadership competency in the Connect assessment. According to McFit 2010, communication is consistently rated as the most important leadership skills for managers and leaders. Leadership theories frame communication in different ways. Hughes et al. 2022 note that some scholars view it as a personality trait while others describe it as a set of learned behavior. In practice, communication allows leaders to clarify vision, align teams, and build trust, which, as emphasized by the Government of Canada 2024, is highly valued in Canadian workplace. Trait theory argued that leaders are effective because of inherent characteristics. For example, Judge et al. 2002 found that extroversion and agreeableness are strong predictors of communication ability. Hughes et al. 2022 also support this idea by showing how traits influence leadership communication. My high communication score reflect trait-based leadership potential. However, as Judge et al. Said, trait alone do not guarantee effectiveness in stressful conditions. This limitation is reflected in my own low personal stability score, which shows that even strong communicators can struggle under pressure. While trait theory emphasizes natural characteristic, behavioral theory suggests that leadership communication effectiveness come from observable actions. According to Hughes et al. 2022, the Ohio State studies highlight two key behaviors, that is, consideration for others and initiating structures. Similarly, emotional intelligence theory emphasized the ability to regulate emotion and express empathy in communication, which was suggested by Goldman 1998, Salovey, and Mayer 1990. This perspective contrasts with trait theory. Instead of assuming leaders are born communicators, they argue that skill can be developed. For me, this is particularly relevant because my low personal stability score suggests that I need to strengthen emotional regulation in order to communicate effectively under stress. In Canada, leadership emphasized transparency, inclusivity, and participatory communication, which was suggested by Government of Canada 2024. My communication strengths support this value, particularly in fostering openness and psychological safety. According to McFit 2010, nonverbal elements such as tone and body language often outweigh the words themselves in communication effectiveness, reminding us that how we speak matters as much as what we say. Research from Great Place to Work Canada 2025 further shows that transparent communication is critical for building trust in workplace place. However, I also recognize that my weakness is in emotional stability could undermine communication if not carefully managed. To maximize my leadership effectiveness, I need to strengthen resilience and emotional stability. Sharma et al. 2023 recommended practices such as mindfulness and stress management to support communication consistency under pressure. At the same time, I plan to use my communication strength to build collaboration and trust within my teams. According to the Government of Canada 2024, inclusive communication where leaders invite diverse perspectives into decision making is essential for modern leadership. Finally, applying Blake and McKenna's 1991 leadership grid means balancing concern for people through empathy with concern for result through clarity and direction. Thank you, and next will be presented by Tuje.
Thank you, Sencho, for your wonderful presentation. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about power and influence in leadership, path goal theory, and how my emotional intelligence connects to these ideas. I'll also show how I can apply them in real life and my recommendation for improving as a leader. So, power and influence are at the heart of leadership. According to Hughes and his colleagues 2022, leadership is basically about using social media to guide people towards a common goal. French and Raven talk about five main bases of power. First one is legitimate power, which comes from your role or position. Second is reward power, where you can give recognition or benefit. Third one is cohesive power, which is more about control or punishment. Then there's expert power, which comes from your knowledge or skills. And finally, referent power, which comes from trust, respect, and relationship. Leadership also uses different influence tactics like explaining things with logic, inspiring people with vision, asking for input, and sometimes applying pressure if needed. For me, I notice this in group work. For example, when I see a teammate who looks stressed, I usually step in to guide them or offer support. In that moment, I'm using referent power because they trust me, and expert power because I share knowledge to them. To help them. Now, let's look at the part goal theory of leadership. This theory says that a leader's job is to help the team reach their goal by removing obstacles and giving support. It includes different leadership styles. First one we have is supportive, which means caring about people's feeling. Second one we have is directive, giving clear instruction and guidance. Third one we have is participative, which involves which means involving the team in decisions. And for me, I'm stronger in supportive and directive style because I can notice how others feel and I can guide them clearly. But I still need to improve my participative style so I can involve everyone more in discussion and teamwork. Now let me share a bit about my emotional intelligence test result. I scored really high in social awareness, 18 out of 20. That means I'm pretty good at noticing other people's emotions and understanding how they feel, which helped me to guide and influence others in a positive way. On the other hand, my score for self-management and relationship management were a bit low, which is 15 and 14. This shows I need to work on handling stress better and building stronger trust with people. Overall, my strengths in awareness support my ability to use referent power, influence through relationship, and expert power, which is influence through knowledge. But to grow as a leader, I know I need to keep improving on managing myself and building deeper connections. Now, moving on with the application, when I apply path goal theory in real life, I try to support teammates when they are stressed, give clear instructions when tasks are confusing, and involve everyone in decision during group work. This helps guide the team, keep everyone motivated, and achieve success together. And for power and influence, I build trust using referent power and share my knowledge using expert power. I try to influence people positively by listening, persuading, and asking for their ideas. So, if I talk about emotional intelligence, it helps me notice my own feeling and understand others so I can manage stress and maintain good relationship. And then to improve my leadership, I'm focusing on building better relationship, managing stress, involving everyone in decisions, using self-awareness to guide the team, and reflecting on work so I can do even better next time. So this is the end of my presentation. Next, Amin will present.
Hello everyone, my name is Amin and today I want to share a story about leadership transformation. 1 month ago, I received a leadership assessment which is score 74 out of 100 and that was difficult to me for accept because it's placing me in the low leadership skill category. But instead of being discouraged, I saw this as the beginning of my leadership journey. Today, I will show you how transformational leadership theory provides me a clear roadmap development and how understanding the Canadian business culture can accelerate that growth. Let me start with the foundation. According to Hughes, Janet, and Carfy, identify four key components of transformational leadership. And I want to you think of this as building blocks. First one, idealize influence, which is building trust and credibility. This is about being the leader others want to follow, not because of your position, but because of who you are. Secondly, inspirational motivation, which is creating vision and purpose. Great leaders don't just manage tasks, they inspire people toward a shared value. Third, the intellectual stimulation, which is encouraging innovation. This means helping your team think differently. And last but not the least, individualized consideration, which is focusing on personal development. Every team member is unique and their great leader recognizes this obviously. And the key insight from Hughes and his colleague is so powerful, and which is transformational leaders raise followers to higher level of motivation and morality. And this is not just about getting result, it's about developing people. Now, let me be honest about my current reality. My current leadership assessment revealed both strengths and significant growth areas. My highest score, teamwork at 80%, which aligns perfectly with individualized consideration. And I have always focused on developing my team members, whether leading 9-person cross-functional teams or 15-member sales team. But look at the areas needing improvement: personal stability, boundary setting, and work quality, all at 70%. And this directly impacted idealized influence. How can I build trust and credibility if I inconsistent in these fundamental areas? Here is what I find encouraging. My professional achievement already demonstrate transformational leadership potential, and I have launched 7 international brands, disrupted market with innovative strategies, and served as a company spokesperson. So the foundation is there. Now I need to build it systematically. So understanding the Canadian business culture is crucial for applying this leadership principle effectively. Canada's egalitarian culture means that managers are expected to treat every person with equal respect, and this perfectly aligns with transformational leadership focus on individual consideration. but it also challenged me to improve my boundary setting while maintaining collaborative relationship. The requirement for bilingual communication in Canadian markets directly addressed my need to enhance inspirational motivation skill. Most importantly, Canadian values environmental consciousness and authentic leadership. My strategy is clear: leverage my teamwork strengths while systematically developing the other three transformational leadership components, and all within the context of Canadian business culture. And that's from me. Thank you.